Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pretty Badass podcast. Today is so exciting because you might recognize him from American Idol, Louis Knight.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I wore a special shirt for you because I know that
Wait.
because first of all, before American Idol, what were you doing?
I was I can't believe you. You really. Wow.
I do my research.
Wow, thank you. That's an honor. I was a pizza delivery driver in my local hometown in Philly.
Well, I love pizza so much, and if I lived in Philly in your town, you probably would have met me a lot sooner because I would have been ordering pizza.
I'm sure a few times. It's weird. I have met so many people that there are people that I know out here who happen to be from my same area and told me that I had apparently delivered pizza to their house.
No way.
It is so strange.
I love it.
Yeah, it's wild. It's
That's
a small world.
Cool. Well, yeah. So when I was picking out my outfit today, I was like,
I appreciate it. I was looking at it and I was like, that's sick. But I was like, that's so interesting. Thank you for doing that. That's so cool.
Of course. Okay. So American Idol.
Yes.
I did do my research and, things that I guess speak to me may not speak to other people. And I'll get into like how I know that American Idol contacted you, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really recognize or realize that kind of thing happens. Is that normal?
Apparently it is. I had no idea that kind of thing happens either. And I got a message request and I thought it was fake. Like I was like, oh, this isn't real. Like I kind of disregarded it at first.
Right. You're like, someone's pranking me.
Literally, yeah. I thought it was like a scammer or something because it hit my DM requests and but then I kind of like my old management at the time, they kind of sussed it out and reached back out to them and it ended up being true. And the woman who actually reached out to me is like, I'm still really good friends with her. I catch up with her every few months. I mean, she's kind of the reason why it all happened. So
amazing.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you went with that. I think most people probably have the misconception that you go and stand in a line with your name and you like are, hopeful that you're going to be the next star. And so you kind of already were a star, I suppose, because you had just released your first EP.
Yeah, it was, I just released my first EP and then, but yeah, they reached out and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it at first. And because I was a little bit worried about it. It sounds so silly saying out loud, but I was so focused on my songwriting. I was a little bit, I worry that there is, or I used to worry that there was a connotation that would come with those shows of, would you just be known as a karaoke singer? Like, no, I was just a little too in my head about it at first and I wasn't sure. And then they said, you can do your own song and I was like, whoa, game changer.
You write your music,
all
of your music?
Yeah, all of it. And lately doing more co-writing with other writers in the room as well. But yeah, I kind of feel like I have to kind of be a big part of the songwriting process for me to want to put it out mostly.
I mean, I would feel like it would be a disservice for you not to, because even though I know you're very young, you're very soulful and
thank you.
Wise. And so, when you and I first met, you were on stage at a mutual friend's birthday party and, you were singing and obviously extremely talented. And then I kept hearing your songs and they were really bringing out so many emotions for me. I'm fresh out of I guess I'm not fresh. It's been 6 months, but out of a relationship and we were together for a long time. And so those types of songs you do write, those breakup songs.
I love a good sad love song. It's my favorite. Thank you.
I was tearing up. I'm not going to lie.
You.
I was like,
me too.
And I'm like, why am I crying? No. I was like, I haven't cried in months.
Sorry.
Like, yeah, it's your fault.
But I'm also like glad that if my song can
it definitely evoked the emotion. But it was one song in particular that you spoke about, and it was called Change.
Yes.
And you wrote that song because of a friend that committed suicide.
Yes. Yeah.
Your brother's friend who became
Yeah.
your friend.
Yeah.
I brought tissues because
Oh, thank you.
I, I do like to look into things a little bit just to have more substance to talk about things that are important to you, but also
Yeah.
important to me. And so mental health is extremely close to my heart. Suicide, my aunt committed suicide when I was 7.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And so many people are affected by this. And so your friend's passing was pretty emotional for me and obviously for you. And just to think that someone that young, I did, you also mentioned though, that it's hard for you to keep telling the story.
Yeah.
And so feel free
This
to
is
say,
okay. This is okay. Thank you. I was going to say, yeah, I took a big break from
Okay.
kind of doing any talking about it for a while, but this is like my first time in a while doing it, and I'm in such a better place now that I feel like I can. So
Okay.
yeah, we can, yeah.
Good.
But
Okay.
thank you very much.
Because it's people like yourself that continue to bring awareness, and that's what's so important. And so when we stop talking about it, because sometimes it is really difficult.
Yeah.
Even on my own journey, I wrote a book, and then I was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Like, I'm not pretty
Interesting.
depressed anymore. I want to be pretty badass, and if I keep
Yeah.
living in this,
It's such a great name.
thank you. But I didn't become this, and I'm still on this journey to become that. But it's kind of like if you keep yourself in that mindset and you keep even talking about that I was pretty depressed,
Yeah.
that I sort of manifest that into my life day to day. And so now I want to make a change. And that's really what brought me to doing this podcast is, I want to talk to people that have had these adversities and overcome them, had the similar journeys or, loss and had the climb. And so I think it's important for us still to reflect on the things that, were the hardest and where we were at our lowest.
Absolutely.
But it's also good to have boundaries and take a break to not talk about it because there is a lot of pressure that comes with it.
Yeah.
So your friend Russell, how old was he?
I think he was 21.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was 21 at the time. It's like, it's weird, like, and then all of a sudden the years, like, it's been years
And COVID
now.
happened.
And COVID happened. It's all kind of a bit of a blur. Like, kind of, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he was 21 or 22, and I'm trying to remember. It was January of 2018. So yeah, he would have been. I think it was just
a little
after
bit
his
older than
birthday.
you?
I think it was just after his birthday too. So I think he may have been 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, still, I mean, either way,
So young.
very young. And it's so, and I say that it's surprising, but it's not surprising because even myself, that's what my book was about, that it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how happy you seem or the lifestyle that you have, because
Yeah.
he looked like a cute guy that was
Yeah.
playing soccer.
He was a phenomenal athlete. He would get like a 5-minute mile time.
Wow.
He was like, I don't know. For me, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like I tried to, I could barely even scratch a 6:30 mile. Like when you're in high school and doing
Yeah.
tryouts and stuff like that. He was a phenomenal athlete.
Like
and
someone that you aspire to be like, and that
Yeah.
he was at one point your rock. You mentioned that he
Yeah.
was very supportive of you and
Always,
your
yeah.
music and, just there with you along the way. And
Yeah.
so
He was.
it's incredible to think that those people that we think are such a light will feel like they're not enough.
Yeah.
And then decide to take their own life. And so obviously that affected you greatly. And then your brother, you having to deliver the news to your brother because he
Yeah.
wasn't in the country.
Yeah, he was so pissed. I kept calling him and he was like, Louis, can I swear?
Yeah.
He was like, Louis, fuck off, I'm sleeping. He was being really grumpy that day. and because he was in England, and he was like,
The weather there makes you grumpy.
Yeah, I think so. And he was
We're kind of like grumpy right now.
he was doing like an internship, and he was just like shattered. And yeah, he just, like, I had to call him like three. He kept being like, stop calling me, like putting it down again. I was like, give me a second, please. But yeah, that day kind of just shifted everything. You know, you're never the same after. I'm not sure, like, you know, I can't imagine that must have been not weird, I don't know if that's the right word, but going through that at 7 years old, that must have been like, I can't imagine how that, you know, how you process something like that, you know, what your parents might tell you, like, if you, like, how you understand it, if you do, or.
I think you really don't process it, and that's why it held with me for so long.
Yeah.
And it was a trauma, PTSD that I took with me, and then had to, you know, ultimately just battle it out in my late 30s, you know. So but yeah, so processing those things, it's like now I completely understand it. And you know, you're a Cancer.
I am a Cancer.
I'm a Cancer.
Oh, no way. When are you born?
June 28th.
June 28th. Okay, I'm July 10th.
July 10th. Okay.
Yeah.
So my aunt was a Cancer. And so, you know, just very sensitive. And that's why maybe your music speaks to me so much. It's like, we're such lovers.
I write some sad
I mean, we really know how to take it there and
We
just
do.
like feel our feelings.
But that's the best, I think. Like,
I think so too.
Being able to go there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't have that that ability, which sometimes people like, oh, like, I think it's a good thing to be able to, you know, be up here, but then also to be able to go to that other place and have more in-depth emotional conversations.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing.
As long as you can find the balance. I wasn't really good at the balance, I guess. And so I was showing this pretty life on the outside, but I was really struggling on the inside. So,
Wow.
you know, when I mentioned earlier that you're wise beyond your years, and it's like
Thank
that
you.
part is, I think that's part of it. I listened to some of your interviews. I listened to the things that you say, and I thought, wow, you know, you're figuring it out. So
Wow,
so that's good.
I really appreciate that. Thank
Well,
you.
yeah,
I'm
I
trying.
mean, I speak the truth, only the truth. Okay, so losing your friend, and out of that, you write a song, which is that what got the attention of American Idol, you think?
You know, I'm not sure. I think so. How it really happened was with the Idol thing, and then I'll talk about the song. I had graduated from high school, and I had spent the whole next year. Kind of, all my friends went off to, you know, college. Some went off to these really prestigious colleges and whatnot. And I'm just like, I'm at home. All these parents in my neighborhood, like, definitely, like, I could tell they were judging me a little bit. I could tell. So, but for some, but also some were very, very supportive, and including my parents. And I don't even know what I would be like, what I'd be doing if it weren't for my parents' support. But I'd spent that year, that should have been my freshman year. I was taking a gap year.
I did that too, so don't worry.
You did?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
become open-ended,
I'm
though.
not a good student, but that's okay.
Me
That's
too.
okay.
I'm terrible.
I went back to university at 25.
But hey, you can do that, and that's
I
a
mean,
good thing.
so don't worry. It's like, enjoy your youth as long as you can. Like, I'm 40 now, and I'm like, well, maybe that's why I'm like seem younger, is because I just am taking my time.
Yeah,
you know.
but that's
with
great,
life.
though.
So don't worry. The gap
Thank
is
you.
okay. Enjoy the gap.
And that's the thing. It's become open-ended. Like, I mean,
Okay.
as of now, who knows if, like, what I'll say, and, you know, I hope I never have to go to college, but not there's
that's
anything
okay.
against it. It's just, I was a terrible student. I'm like, I'm so ADHD. Just like every report card would be my entire life. I mean, I would just get kicked out of class. Like, my entire life is lovely kid, like lovely guy, but just constantly talks and distracts himself and others.
Talks too much.
I just like to be the class clown.
Yeah.
I like to be the source of entertainment, which is funny when, like, people don't necessarily always know that when, you know, all my songs are sad love songs. You know, it's hard to sometimes get that side of me across.
It's hard to write a funny song.
I know. That's why I just try to make fun of myself during the breaks of my songs.
There you go.
Like that Lewis Capaldi type
Yeah.
vibe.
you're doing a great job. So
Thank
don't
you.
worry. Just
Appreciate it.
keep writing those sappy love
Thank
songs and making people cry. And then, you know,
I'm lucky it's the only thing I'm pretty good at. So,
well, okay. So, obviously you're good at it. American Idol wants you on the show.
yeah, so I totally got
no, it's okay.
sidetracked.
I have to train myself because I am also like you. So
Yeah, I'm too.
don't worry.
Literally ADHD.
I'm going to keep us in
I'm
line.
interrupting you again. So
It's my job to make sure that we stay on track.
Thank you.
You just get to sit there and, you know,
perfect.
yeah, you'll
I love
be fine.
that. This is great.
Okay, so American Idol, they contact you, you go on the show, and your audition, they ask you about the song that you're going to sing.
Yes.
And so that was pretty emotional listening to you sing that song. You even mention his name in the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really sweet.
Thank you. It was yeah, the song, I mean, as far as the song came about, it was, you know, I'd been trying to write about it for so long. I'd started like 4 or 5 different songs that I thought maybe that's it, but I couldn't find the best way to tell that story that felt, you know, I had to be in love with every aspect of it. I had to, which is sometimes can be an unhealthy relationship with songwriting, when it has to be that absolute, you know, emotional satisfaction of getting every little, you know, emotion out of you onto a page, and having it be perfect can sometimes be, it's like, well, how can I do that every time I go to write a song? But luckily for that was, you know, I was sitting in bed one morning and I was on YouTube and I found this guy, Sam Fender, who's my biggest inspiration. And he's like this Northern English, kind of almost Bruce Springsteen-y kind of singer, rock, like artist. And he wrote a song called Dead Boys, which was about, he started hearing about all these local boys in his hometown that had been taking their lives. And he wrote this song called Dead Boys to kind of, you know, bring attention to that and to male suicide. And within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I went downstairs, I watched the video, and I went downstairs and wrote Change in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Like it just came naturally. And yeah, I'm so
have you
grateful.
contacted him?
I've tried to DM him a couple of times, but it's going to happen at some point. Because
we're manifesting this right now.
Please.
Well, not even just because you want it to happen, but because I feel like that's really, really special. I mean,
Thank you.
that I didn't know about that song, and I definitely want to look it up after this. But
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you had a block and then that helped you get through, and I'm sure he would love to talk to you about it, or even
I hope so.
promote. So no, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I feel it.
I know his entire, like I not stalk, but like I know his entire band on Instagram. Like I know all their names. Like I follow every single, like, you know, his whole team and stuff. Like I'm hoping for that door to open at some point. So
well, I think it's going to.
Fingers crossed.
Well, the song is beautiful, and you know, that got you all the way through, right? Like everybody was
kind of really started things. And obviously with American Idol, you know, I was really grateful that they told that story. And you know, I love all the crew and the production team that work on Idol. I'm still good friends with a lot of them. But yeah, that kind of, the audition happened and it was all a big blur, to be honest. It was, and then some of it was also a bit difficult because it was, you know, really, really long days, especially the audition day. It was like, and then they had me stay for a few more nights. My audition was in DC.
okay.
And they had me stay a few more nights to get more behind the scenes content, like footage of me, to kind of be a part of my story. Like when they produce out your story for it. So, and it was like, you know, they were like, oh, smile, you've got your golden ticket, like kind of like, you know, do this, like run and jump and be happy that you got your golden ticket. And it was like, it's a bit fucking hard for me to do that when I've just I've just been singing this song about my friend's suicide and then getting asked about it, having to be so emotionally vulnerable, and then, you know, doing interviews about the suicide, but then, oh, smile. It's like
my
very
life is amazing.
weird. So I had a really difficult, like, I felt so weird that day originally. I mean, I got better at it as the show went along, but it's weird that I found that really hard at first, you know?
And that's not weird at all. I feel like that's pretty normal. I mean, it's a roller coaster of emotions that you're on. I mean, even if something is good, like even after a podcast, people think, oh, it's just an hour of talking. There's so much preparation that mentally, you want to make sure. And, it's like for me, you say you're a perfectionist about your, songwriting. I'm like that. And I'm trying to get better about just even my appearance. Like I get so fixated on, I need to look perfect and the perfect outfit and sound perfect. And I really am just trying each episode, I'm trying to let go of that because like this is my 7th one.
Wow.
And this one feels a little more, is this a good omen or something?
Russell's number was number 7. That is so weird. We call him RP7.
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 Well, we'll dedicate this.
That's crazy. Sure. That's actually so, I don't know. Sometimes I believe in that stuff.
No,
I do. It's hard to say it on camera, but I do completely believe in that stuff. That is, honestly, that's kind of blown my mind.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Then.
That's really special.
So I feel more relaxed on this one. I also, maybe because, the way in your interview, the way that you told your story, I felt like it was one in particular where you're talking to the camera and obviously someone had been feeding you questions, but but I love that one because you were just really rolling through it and it didn't seem, and maybe you just made it seem like it was easy, but I thought, wow, like I really need to, I really want to know more. So I want to feel more relaxed so that it can be just more of a conversation with us. I kind of picked up on something that you mentioned in that interview, which sounded to me like a panic attack. Do you think when you were on Idol, I know that there was a moment where you wanted to leave and was that a panic attack, you think?
I think so. It's weird. Like that was the first time that happened. I mean, I've had, excuse me, like I've had things that I thought were panic attacks before, and I don't know what that was. It was a mixture between sleep deprivation, and I still like have this weird. I mean, I have PTSD from that I like had diagnosed. I don't like they tried to give me some stuff for it. I don't take it, and I recently actually got off antidepressants. I'll
Good
just
for
be
you.
thank you.
It's a hard thing to do.
I was like, fuck it, like I'm gonna try what it's like without. And honestly, it's been amazing. It's been really good. But for that, I definitely, it's become this weird thing. Like I woke up and I'd only had 2 hours of sleep during Hollywood Week, and I just, as soon as my eyes opened, my whole body just started uncontrollably shaking, and I couldn't get it to stop. I was like, like slapping my arm, like trying to massage like trying to just figure out how the hell to stop that. I'm so used to trying to censor myself. I swear a lot. I'm from England.
You're like, no, I'm going to be a bad boy. I'm going to say hell.
Pretty badass. This is the setting. No,
this is where you can go for it.
This is because I'm English. We swear a lot. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe it was a panic attack, but now it's like, and I got in the shower. Like I was like, is hot water going to help my skin like stop just shaking uncontrollably? And then I was like making it cold. I was like trying to figure out what the hell to do. And then I just started like packing my suitcase, and I, like.
And did someone talk you out of leaving, or did you just decide, well, I need to stay?
I called my manager at the time, who was, at the time he was, kind of like another parental figure in my life, to be honest. He kind of, I got very, very close with him, which is also a tough line when you're working with someone.
Yeah.
But I called him. He was trying to kind of, talk me through everything that was going on. My parents were in the whole, like, I was getting calls. I'd missed the call time for Idol for that day.
How far in were you? Like, are you in LA at this time, or?
I was in LA for Hollywood Week.
Okay. So you're like pretty far in. Like
we were staying at a Hilton, I believe, and then it was so it's like Hollywood Week is after you've got the golden ticket, you go into Hollywood Week. This was This was the last day of Hollywood Week.
Okay.
So this was like, I'd already made it through 2 other rounds. There was one more round to go. And the day before had been so stressful. My duet partner and I had forgotten the words on stage on that fucking international television in front of Katy Perry and all, like, you know, everyone.
Great.
It's like, what? But the thing is, I realized it cannot get any fucking worse than that ever. It really can't. So now that's kind of prepped me for life going forward. But so yeah, and then they were all calling me, like, basically they all ended up coming to my, like, I was lucky. I really, you know, they all really looked out for me, the crew on Idol. They all came to my hotel room door, knocked on the door, and I opened it, and I was just like frantically just like a bit like manic, to be honest. I was incredibly manic because I was sleep deprived, and I think I just opened the door. I was in my boxers, and I was like, oh, you know, and I packed my suitcase, and, you know, they all they asked to come in, and like I don't even know, but they basically kind of just helped talk me through it. They were like, why don't you just like it's all gonna be fine. Like, why don't you just come down to the hotel lobby? Like, why don't we just get to the venue, and you don't have to sing, you don't have to perform if you don't want to. But let's just take this step at a time and just see how you feel. And they were there for me in my moment of of complete just disarray. You know, they really came to support me, and that's why I'm still, you know, I'm meeting up with one of the guys that came to, one of the people that came to my door that morning. I'm now performing in May for his dad's mental health panel. I'm performing at this like at the convention center in LA that they're doing a thing for, and I'm meeting up with the other guy that came to my door that morning to help me. I'm meeting up with him in England, you know, when I'm back there. So it's like I've really formed these relationships that I will have for life, you know, because that is, everyone's going through a crazy time. No one's sleeping. No one's like, even them on the production team.
It's
that
burnout.
Week,
it's and we're labeling it in all these different ways, but ultimately it's mental health, and it's
exactly, if you get pushed to that point, it is.
So yeah, and you know, I really admire you speaking about it, and it's more about men speaking about it. I think it's obviously it's just as good that I'm talking about it, but men have more pressure, and there's no denying that you're supposed to you're supposed to have it all together. And even we're trying to shy away from this, but having that mentality of suck it up. Don't be a crybaby. What are you, like a little girl? You're, you know, a little sissy kind of thing.
Exactly.
And, you know, I have a brother that he has panic attacks and different things, and he's not as open about it. My entire family, they struggle with, you know, some various depression, anxiety, PTSD.
It's in my family too.
And so it's, you know, hereditary. Then you have, you know, traumas that happen to you, and I mean, it's like, it's a recipe for disaster. And I don't know if I mean, I'm glad that you were able to get off the antidepressants with, I'm guessing, just kind of cold turkey, which we don't recommend.
No one recommends that, but I kind of did. I didn't tell my psychiatrist either.
I did the same thing.
I was avoiding paying a bill.
Mental health is expensive.
So expensive. And my psychiatrist is great and amazing in LA. And that sounds like so like...
Nope, you're in LA.
In LA, psychiatrist.
Welcome to LA. This is the conversation now.
Literally. But yeah, I went cold turkey while I was in England because I'd actually forgotten. I went to visit my brother in another part of England, and I'd for a few nights, and I'd forgotten my medication. And I was like, well, fuck.
Start now.
So and then I was like doing like one every other day, and honestly it's been amazing for me. You know, I started them, I didn't even take them back when, you know, Russell's suicide happened, and I have a lot of like PTSD linked to that. You know, I saw things that night, like it was not going back. I mean, I don't know if I would have done anything differently, but like you never know how you're going to react
Were you there when it happened? Or like...
I wasn't there when it happened, but it was very near where I lived. And I went there that night. Yes. And But so yeah, that fucked me up.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't like tell that to many people, but I appreciate, the platform. I feel comfortable sharing that. But yeah, that really messed me up. And that's, breeding into, some sleep disorder stuff, like terrible nightmares, sleep paralysis and things like that I have sometimes, like. And yeah, it's weird. But I wasn't taking anything at then. And then I moved to LA actually with an ex-girlfriend. So I recently, that song that
Did
probably...
you write a new, that's the song?
The song that I'm assuming that you might have been referring to that night, when we met at that show, that may have been, yeah, a lot of them are, the new ones are about that.
made
Make this up.
Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah,
that gets
one,
you right here.
Yeah, like so that was it always helps being able to write about things. It's like, I'm so fortunate to be able to write through the traumas and things that happen, that, heartbreak and things like that, to try to make sense of it with singing and like, just singing it out. And forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, it wasn't until kind of things started getting really rocky when I lived in LA with my ex-girlfriend, and that's when I kind of got on antidepressants, which I should have seen it from a mile away. that was just we weren't good for each other, and it was toxic, and that's why I was so fucking depressed.
Well, I hope that you learned, because it took me several relationships, like a lot of relationships. Really? In fact, just the last one, it's like, that I was like, well, I should have seen those. And
it's always hindsight though,
but it's when you have these traumas, and I don't know if you know much about it, but we trauma bond. So we trauma bond to these people, and usually the person inside of us, we want to help them, fix them. Like if we've been able to start, healing ourselves, and, for me, it was like, I didn't want to leave my partner behind in that misery. And I thought, well, if I can love someone into like feeling loved, then of course, like, no better person than me. Like, yeah. I'm going to make sure that you, like, I thought to myself, he's never been loved before. And so I can fix this, and you cannot fix someone else, especially, and we won't even get into all that, but
especially if they don't want to as well. And
they did,
it was a very similar situation.
If they don't,
dare I say.
So, yeah. So try to look for those cues.
Yeah. Thank you.
So how's your mental health today?
Honestly, like, since I was a bit worried after I got off my meds that it was just, like, I was worried because of the readjusting, I wasn't manic in any way. I was worried that I might experience some of those symptoms that happen when you come off, cold turkey. But I was honestly, I was doing really, really well. And honestly, for the most part, I'm doing really well. Like, it's the happiest for so long. I remember I was driving to, where was I driving to? I was driving to San Diego or something, or San Francisco, and I called my friend, and I was like talking to him, and I started crying because I was like, I am so happy. Like, I have been begging, waking up every day, I was really, it's weird how, like, I really, like, moving here and all the stuff with my ex-girlfriend and just trying to navigate that all was really, really hard for me. And I was like waking up every day just like begging I would have like a changed outlook on life. I felt like the lens that I saw everything through was like incredibly tainted and just not positive. And I was I was just waking up just like pleading to myself in my head, like, can this just change, please? Like, get back to how it used to feel when everything was good. And, when I stopped taking medication, and medication really helped me for a while, and it's a great thing if it works for you. But I think it was time I'd processed I'd been out of the relationship for a while and processed that a bit more. And I was in England, which was such a happy place for me to be around my family, which I hadn't really gotten much chance since before the pandemic to really, settle in with my all my extended family and stuff there. And I started crying to my friend. I was like, I've been waiting to feel like this for so long. And it was, yeah, like, it's like when you're in that place, it's so hard when you literally just want so badly to get out of there. And I finally did. And,
and you feel guilty because you should be happy and you have a great life, but you're not. And something is just like keeping you from living the life that you know that you should be living.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
do you feel like your mental health struggles, just because of your songs, I wonder if your mental health struggles, do you think that they come from love or like abandonment or like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, probably. um,
Because
do
I
you want to
asked
fit? Yeah,
because
so I feel like I
no,
stopped you halfway through the question.
I asked because that's where mine came from, and so I think that's why I relate to your music so much, that I could kind of tell that, like, for me, love is the most important thing. So when that gets taken away from me or it doesn't work out, it was the most crippling thing. And I would get to the point where, especially in this past relationship, I just couldn't live anymore. Like, I did not want to live. And then
Yeah,
that's
I'm
when
sorry. I'm so sorry.
no, I mean, and I'll tell you more about it later, just because I think that it's important for your audience if they don't know about this. And I know that it is now possible to, I ended up doing IV ketamine treatments,
Did you?
and that saved my life. I wouldn't
Wow.
be here right now. I
I didn't know
interviewed,
that was
yeah.
like, I've heard of it, but I didn't know that it was being done in America.
Yeah, so I interviewed my IV ketamine doctor a few weeks ago. So check it
Wow.
out. It's like
You did a
it's a
podcast with her?
with him,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh, with him.
yeah.
Wow.
And he really pioneered the industry here in Los Angeles. Started, I think, back in 2014 or 2016, and in 2017, I started my infusions there. And I was, I literally asked my mom if I could please just take pills to go to sleep forever.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't do it is because I was living for my family and I knew what it had done to us to lose my aunt. And so I just was so tired. Like, that's all I kept saying was, I'm just tired. Please.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't ever attempt it, but I certainly asked. I had suicidal ideations of just wanting to not be here. And, I remember the first time, and I don't really talk about it, and maybe I've never said it, but I'm going to say it just because, especially your friend being so young, and I don't know if it was over a girl or what it was over, or a relationship.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I had a breakup and I was driving my car and my ex-boyfriend had done something very terrible and I was like 17. And I remember driving home and it was off the interstate and there was this giant tree to get off on the exit. And I thought and said to myself, I should just drive into that tree and then it would all be over.
Yeah.
And that was at like 17 years old. And
I
so,
had my first love, my first heartbreak, had a very similar thing. I thought, what if I just walk in front of we were like talking, some really messed up shit had happened. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
we were like on the side of the road and in like our neighborhood and just talking, and like everything was just like a blur. And I literally thought about like walking into the middle of the street in front of an oncoming car, which hindsight sounds, but it's like when you're in that moment. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. No, and thank you for sharing. Like, I want to ask people about these things, but I also want to be respectful. And so I'm glad that you felt comfortable. And, it's, I will say that there is hope because if you ever get there again or someone that is watching this, the IV ketamine treatments, after this breakup that I just
Yeah.
had of 5.5 years,
Wow.
it was a lot. And, it was also, he was a narcissist and I didn't know what that was. And it's very, very dangerous for someone that suffers from mental health issues because once they know that about you, it becomes sort of like how they become your puppet master. And I really did not think I could live without him. And he played into that.
I'm
But
sorry. Yeah. That's tough. Yeah.
but I mean, I got through it and I never thought that I would. And the IV ketamine treatments, and then also they're finding that psilocybin, different things are
Well, that's
working
why I haven't
in the
heard
same
about the
way.
ketamine, but like as much as the psilocybin, I've heard about a lot with
It
microdosing.
it's incredible, and so what it really does is I was looping the same thought that everyone was going to abandon me, that I was, going to be hurt, that, traumas from my childhood of being abandoned by my father, and, him just, he basically started a new family, and it was all these things that happened, and, my home burned down 3 months after my aunt committed suicide. So, all of these things that were solidifying in my brain that it's all going to fall apart, or
I mean,
you're going to lose everything that you love and that
when you go through that as a child, how else would you see, like,
yeah. So
that's so
it's
tough.
but I'm so grateful that I was on antidepressants, and I thought that, they're keeping me alive, but I wasn't thriving, I wasn't living. Often I would do the getting off cold turkey, and then I would be like, then I get into another relationship, and then all of a sudden I felt so happy for so long, and then boom, it was gone. And so it finally got to like the worst place that it possibly could. And the IV ketamine, it literally repairs the neuroreceptors in your brain, creates new
Really?
neural pathways. So really my brain
I
was
need
I'm telling you,
I might
you need
some
to
of that.
so
I don't know how expensive it is for music, an up and coming artist.
okay. I will say that they are doing better trying to like get things with insurance and payment plans and all kinds of stuff. But I did put it on a credit card, but I would do it all over again. And I probably spent over $30,000 on my brain, but I would do it. I mean, I would do it every single day if that's what it took. But I now don't have to take it.
Priceless.
Your life is priceless. And now I'm so excited about life.
Good.
Even during that breakup, I hit rock bottom, but I looked up quickly and was like, okay, let's start climbing again. Instead of being like, I'm like, I want to die. I can't live. I need this person.
Yeah.
And it's like my brain has flowered into this new, like, it's like I have a fresh start. So
I'm
if
really happy to hear
anyone,
that.
thank you. It's like,
That's
I
amazing.
thought that it was a life sentence to live with depression, anxiety, and PTSD.
Yeah.
And I literally have zero. Zero.
Wow.
Cured. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Cured. I mean, I have days where, I get emotional about something, but it's normal kind of sadness. And yeah, we're gonna have, I don't know what's happening.
I know.
It's like Jumanji's coming. Jumanji's
Literally,
coming through the wall.
it's like Godzilla is outside. I don't know. That's incredible though, because I mean, I have relationships, like, they freak me the fuck out now, because I've noticed that when I'm outside of a relationship is when this might be a terrible thing to admit, but like, that's when I'm honestly my most confident, and I'm constantly building confidence in myself and finding myself. And then when I'm in a relationship, that's when, and things, when you're in the, what's it called? The
honeymoon phase.
Honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
When the butterflies are there, and then, but I've
Everything is
learned
the
that the
best thing in the
butterflies
world.
is actually your body telling you, run,
Really?
get the fuck out. Like,
It's like, oh, this is new and not
no,
something
that's not
that
what it is. It's the red flags that we're ignoring, and we're picking like really bad people. Run.
I'm going
You hear me?
to try to.
Run.
I mean, I'm
Those
not
are not butterflies. Run.
no butterflies. I got a butterfly with my ex. It's not matching, but it's
My
kind of
ex's
matching.
art is all butterflies. Okay, let me just tell you.
Maybe that can be the new meaning. I've never really admitted that publicly. That's what it was. But
So you're single now because you seem very happy.
right? It's weird. Like, when I get into relationships, things are great in the beginning, and maybe it's because there can be trends in as you said, trauma bonding, and the people I like have sometimes fallen in love with, that it becomes like, in their behaviors and also in mine,
Triggers something.
it triggers
to
things,
hold on.
and then my insecurities and my fear of abandonment can come out a lot, and that's something I've just.
Do you know about attachment theory? Secure, avoidant, and anxious.
Yes, I'm anxious.
Yeah, so was
Attachment.
I. But you know what? I became secure.
Wow.
So it's possible to change. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm 40 now, so it took some time, but there's hope. And I do attribute the, you know, the ketamine, the microdosing of things. And so I think it's helping me continue that journey of feeling
Good.
empowered in myself and being able to say, well, that didn't work out and it has nothing to do with me. Like, I'm amazing. I'm fabulous. I'm pretty badass.
Yeah.
And,
That's priceless, as we said.
yeah.
Like that is literally
So,
like you.
but I couldn't have gotten there really without rewiring my brain, basically.
That's so fascinating. I'm
So
really excited
I'll send
to
you more
dive into that.
information, and there's an episode about it. So I don't know how much. Let's see. I think we're okay on time. But is there anything else that you want to share before I ask? Well, I'll tell you a little bit why I think you're badass, but then I'll ask you what makes you pretty badass.
Wow, I wasn't
So I'm
expecting.
gonna let you think on
Yeah.
it for a minute. But is there anything that we missed today? Okay, there's something that you did mention on one of your interviews, and if you want to talk about it, you can. I didn't quite understand what it meant, but there was an email that you got about a request
Oh yes.
for some money.
Yes. Yes.
Do we want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, I can. I think I can.
Because
Yeah.
it's not just a little bit of money.
It was a lot of. I mean, it was a lot of money.
40,000?
$40,000.
Yeah. So
I've got to figure out what I can say, but I think
Yeah.
I've done this before, so I think I'm like I kind of mentioned it in.
I'll
that thing.
kick you if I
thank
feel like
you.
you're going off track
I feel
too
like
far.
I'm breaching an NDA. But basically, my previous team that managed me. You know, I've had a few. I've had
Yeah.
you know, I've been lots. I'm the problem. I'm kidding. You begin to wonder though. You begin to wonder, but no, it's not. But a previous team I'd worked with, they had basically reached like they had said they would walk away with nothing, and you know, like I was very close to them, and
you trusted them. So
yeah, I really trusted them. They were, you know, incredibly close to me, and I that's why it was so hard being, you know, trying to think if I should say my age.
Maybe I'll say as much as I know, so that if something you were like, I didn't say.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect.
So I know that like you were working with this team and you were young, and I mean, I think pretty darn young, where it's like you need your parents' help. At the time you had a little bit of a strange relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't have their guidance. So you're leaning on this team to help you through things. And, you know, it's an exciting time when you're trying to, you know, propel yourself in the industry. And so someone offers you financial help in exchange for like rights or something.
Yes. So someone offered me financial help instead of they offered me financial help and then the deal was that I would give them a percentage of my business.
Okay. Is that common in the industry? Like for that
don't
kind of
think
thing
so.
to happen? No.
I mean, some people, but they're red flags, I think.
Okay.
And I basically, I really considered it at first. And then I ended up calling my parents and they were like, Louis, please don't do that. Like we will, it was for a campaign for a marketing campaign for one of my songs. I think it was like $8,000 for a marketing campaign, which would I do that again? No. Until there's a label paying that money for a fucking marketing campaign. No. But so then I, you know, a couple of days later, I went back and I said, I when you're so young, you're like, and you have that relationship that crosses some of those personal and work boundaries. I was like, you know, I want to be in business with you forever. Like, I want to work with you forever. Blah, blah, blah. And, but like, I don't think I can do this. And then they said, oh, that's the right answer. I was trying to, this was a test. And like,
And testing even someone at your age? Like, it's
about
like,
about the music business. Like when they didn't even like, you know, they were learning the music business as, you know, as we went. You know, they hadn't been in the music industry. So it was, and you know, at the end of the day, all of it is now forgiven and like we've worked through it. But yeah, so at
oh,
that
good.
time I
Okay. Because
was,
that's why I brought it up, because I wanted to know if you had taken care of it, because you had mentioned that it was really difficult on you. And that can be very hard on your mental health when you have that kind of pressure to come up with a large sum of money, especially being young. So that really was why I was kind of going down that route to say, like, you owed a lot of money for, this exchange that may or may not have happened. And that, there's this list of demands of like, but I helped you. And, so basically that's why I was asking. So it's all
yeah.
good now?
So yeah, so that thing about the percentage of my business I didn't do, and then it was like, oh, that was a test, and I was like, I believed it, and you know, I still don't really fully know what I think about it. A lot of people in my family and friends and my ex-girlfriend were like, that's really manipulative. They made me realize that was really manipulative in itself, knowing the situation I was in with my parents. And then B, was it really a test? Were they just saying that to get out of the, out of the hole that, you know, maybe they were a bit nervous now that I'd
Right.
said no, and told my parents about it. So, but then the email that came and said that I owed 40 grand was, and the thing is, it's like weird. I was young and I saw right through it because I remembered what one of them had told me, that someone had borrowed money from the business. And in basically in return given up shares of the business, and they tried to put that in this email. And you never know if it's the lawyer kind of being like, yeah, you guys should do this, or because like that's how
But it was
it goes.
happening.
There are so many perspectives when lawyers are involved and stuff. There are so many people, like the lawyer kind of tries to. I mean, lawyers are amazing, but like they, like everything has its good and bad, and they tried to pin that 40 grand on me, and I was like, go fuck yourself. and I was able. I'm so glad that I had remembered hearing that and stuff, and I went to my lawyer and said, no, that's what that is, and I know because it's down to the cent of how much money was taken out of the fucking business. It's like, and I called them on that, and then it went away very quickly. But for a minute, I just arrived to do my comeback episode.
That's what I was
Idol.
gonna say. So it was like, that was the day that you were doing, or the day before that you were doing your comeback performance on American Idol?
It was the night before, so I hadn't heard anything from them. Was supposed to hear something from them within a couple days, and then hadn't heard anything for 2.5, 3 weeks. And I was like, what's going on? Like, they told me they were going to be, reaching out really quickly. And then all of a sudden this big gap. So I was just waiting kind of in limbo, that's never a good place to be. And then it was the day before I left for the comeback show, which was, it was a few days of rehearsing first and then the performance. But it was, and they knew me too. Like they knew that I would have been stressing, packing last minute. I worked with them for a long time. Like they knew how I functioned. So I was like, already stressing, already kind of, dealing with a bit of anxiety, already, packing last minute, and then get this email like the night before I'm flying out, when I'm trying to get a good night's sleep, and with all this stuff, and then on and off while we were rehearsing and waiting around at the CBS lot for the on the show. I was having calls with my lawyer, like
that's not what you want to deal with
in the 5-minute breaks that you had free, where you were supposed to be, having like breathing and just chilling out and relaxing. I was like having these like so jam-packed like 3-minute phone calls with my lawyer because that's all the time I had, and so it wasn't fun, but they were going through a lot, and I forgive them.
Good.
Sometimes I hold on to things a little bit, have I forgiven, myself or my ex, like in my past relationship? No, not yet. But for that, I think with enough time, as if like with anything, if it takes enough time and understanding and perspective to be able to get to that point where you can, you just let it go. I've talked to them since, and I hope nothing for the best for them and their families. And
Good.
yeah,
I think that's a really positive way to look at things. And, that will kind of bring us into why I think you are pretty badass. That,
thank you. Oh,
even
yeah.
though I'm going to bring it back. Even though you are young, you carry yourself very well. And I love the fact that you are, talking about mental health and letting your, talents lead you into, sharing such a beautiful personal message. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. So,
I really appreciate that.
So I'm going to ask you, what makes you pretty badass? And you can either sing about it or
I'm
you're
not gonna
good.
sing about it. That's gonna be meme worthy. That's gonna be terrible.
No, I'm kidding. But so he did bring his guitar. So I'm hoping that we're gonna get
I can do
a little
it'll
show.
actually be a happier,
Okay.
relatively happier
Okay.
for me.
Okay. All right. So what do you think? What is to come? And, what are you most excited about right now? And I guess what makes you feel, pretty badass right now?
Being 22, and some people might see this and be like, oh well, he's not where he should be, or he's thinking he's ahead of where he should be. But I think in the last few months I've realized, since getting off medication and all that stuff, like, I'm 22, and if I dare say so, some days it doesn't feel like that. Most of the time, it never feels like that. But lately, I've been able to take in and appreciate myself more. I've accomplished a decent amount of things so far at being 22. Not.
I'm gonna let you finish, but a decent amount. Come on.
Thank you.
You're being modest. You're being modest. Keep going.
I don't want to
this,
sound like an asshole,
no,
but like,
you're not. You don't sound egotistical. It's so important for people to celebrate themselves,
you.
so I'm giving you this moment to really celebrate yourself.
Thank
so
you.
You were on. You were on the.
Fucking sick.
Yeah, you are. No, you're 22.
Thank you.
You've already accomplished so much. Like,
Thank you.
And I know you're really, really, really talented. So
I appreciate that.
I think that, you write your own songs, you're going to have a lot of content to write about. So it's like life.
I'm trying to stay clear of those relationships for a minute though, man.
I might need to throw some trauma in your life to get another good song.
That's literally how it feels sometimes. But
No.
yeah, I think I feel, and thank you. Like, I feel like I've accomplished a good amount so far, and there's so much more to come. And especially after such like a big thing like Idol, it can sometimes feel like everything else feels downhill because you don't get that that dopamine boost from from everything. It's not quite the same. But I think just looking forward, like, I'm here, I'm songwriting, I'm decided I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between England and LA because I'm, again, 22, and I can do that. Like, I can make the life that I want wherever I want if I work hard enough, and that's what I'm going to do. And like with songwriting and writing for myself and other people, and I'm pretty badass. Like, I'm doing I'm so lucky I get to do what I love to do. And I mean, I'm trying to, make myself float financially with doing it, because obviously living in LA, it can be, some months are better than others, And but like, just getting to that spot where it's just, smooth sailing. Who knows when that'll happen, but I know it will happen. So
I love the outlook, and that's the perfect answer. Would really love to hear something. So whatever you want to sing,
thank you.
go
I'd love
for
to.
it. And thank you so much for being here, and we'll close out with a nice song. What is the song called, by the way?
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun, and like, would love to do this again sometime. The song is called it's called Fell For You.
Okay.
Right now it's Fell For You parentheses back then, but I might drop the back then. But it's about someone I grew up having feelings for, like growing up, and they might still be there.
Do they know? Okay.
Yes, they do definitely know. And well, you'll when I sing the song, you may have heard it the other night, but when I sing the song, you'll kind of hear
the name.
Not the name. I won't do that again. I released a song called Maya, which was the middle name of my ex-girlfriend, and we broke up the day before it came out.
Oh no.
So
okay.
I'm going to steer clear of that, but I did have to, when I was thinking about the name, I did have to come to realization. I was like, what if? And I was like, no, can't do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, I guess I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I have my own little concert.
Oh yeah. So hopefully the mic's, I'm like really facing you now because of the positioning of the chair.
I'm getting serenaded.
This is really a serenading moment. Sorry. Okay, here we go. It's been a minute since we've talked. I wonder how you are. Is that degree paying off? And is LA really that far? It's hard starting a new life without thinking of you sometimes. But I heard from your mom that you thought my song was about you. And it feels fucked up holding hope for us when you're happy with someone new. And I heard he's a pretty good guy, but knowing I still sometimes cross your mind makes me wonder why I never told you. And I don't think I can live with myself when it's always been you. And you not knowing just how that felt, I might be crazy. And it's all just been in my head. But is there the slightest chance that thing beating in your chest fell for me back then? Fell for me back then. Small talk in a crowded room. There's one thing on my mind. It's the fact she'll never be you. Just doesn't sit that right. And I know you're better off while I'm holding on so tight. So tight. But I heard from your mom that you thought my song was about you. And it feels fucked up holding hope for us when you're happy with someone new. And I heard he's a pretty good guy, but knowing I still sometimes cross your mind makes me wonder why I never told you. And I don't think I can live with myself when it's always been you. And you not knowing just how that felt, I might be crazy. And it's all just been in my head. But is there the slightest chance that thing beating in your chest fell for me back then? Fell for me back then. 'Cause I fell for you back then. 'Cause I fell for you back then. Fell for you back then.
Bravo!
That song's actually coming out. It wasn't supposed to come out so soon, but just for scheduling releases and stuff, I've now actually had to push that to the very front. So that's coming out the beginning of April.
Amazing.
I haven't actually announced it yet, but it's
okay,
I'm finishing it up right now. So yeah, it's coming out at the beginning of April. When I put up the pre-save, please go pre-save it.
Well, thank you again. This
Thank
has
you.
been such a treat. And I know that we're going to see more of you. And
so.
if you like, please subscribe, please follow. I'll have his handles and mine.
I appreciate that.
My favorite is you playing the piano. So just to let you know, it's
next time I'll just have the keyboard just on my lap.
A baby grand in here.
It would look a little different, the setup.
Yeah, a little.
We'll make it work.
So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be a part of it.
Great.